It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon at the Maplewood Diner, the classic place where the aroma of freshly brewed coffee lingered in the air and the slight clinking of cutlery on plates filled the silences between conversations. Amelia had worked there for 5 years, long enough to know the regular customers' orders by heart and know exactly how Mrs. Jenkins preferred her toast. Crispy, but not burnt. She wasn't just a waitress. She was a friendly face, a listener, part of the beating heart of that diner. But lately things had become difficult. Her mother's medical expenses were piling up, her younger brother needed help with university admission applications, and rent day always seemed to come too soon. Yet, every day she showed up for work, tied on her now faded apron with a smile, because, as she often told herself, kindness costs nothing. That day an elderly, unkempt man entered, his coat worn at the elbows, his shoes ruined. He approached the counter, avoiding the gaze of the manager, Mr. Grayson, who was already staring at him with a frown. "Coffee?" Amelia asked sweetly, her smile warm and genuine. The man nodded, but fumbled with his wallet, pulling out a handful of coins, not even enough for a small cup. Mr. Grayson, always attentive, leaned over and murmured, "If he can't pay, he can't stay." Amelia hesitated, but only for a moment. She poured a cup of steaming coffee and placed it in front of the man. "It's on me," she whispered to him. The man's eyes softened, a mixture of surprise and gratitude. "Thank you," he murmured, holding the cup as if it were the first warm thing he'd touched all day. Amelia bent slightly toward the man, trying to make eye contact. "What's your name?" she asked, her voice kind and inviting. The man lowered his gaze, visibly embarrassed. "My name is Richard," he replied quietly, avoiding Amelia's eyes. She smiled, trying to put him at ease. "Nice to meet you, Richard. How can I help you today?" Richard sighed and replied with an uncertain voice, "Just a coffee, if it's not too much trouble." Amelia nodded with understanding. "It's no trouble at all. I'll bring you a hot cup right away." When she returned with the steaming coffee, Richard looked at her with eyes full of gratitude. "Thank you, Amelia. I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to thank me," she replied with a smile. "Sometimes, we all need a gesture of kindness." The man took the cup with trembling hands. "You're different, Amelia. Not everyone would have done what you did." Amelia blushed slightly. "I'm just trying to do the right thing. The world can be a difficult place, but I believe kindness can make a difference." Richard nodded slowly, savoring the coffee and reflecting on her words. "You're right," he said, his voice more confident. "You did much more than serve me coffee. You reminded me what it means to be human." Amelia smiled again, her heart light. "I'm glad I could help, Richard." Richard took another sip of coffee, feeling a warmth that went beyond the liquid itself. "Thank you, Amelia. I'll never forget this gesture." Amelia observed Richard for a moment, then with a sweet and curious voice, asked, "Richard, I'd like to know more about you. What brought you here to the Maplewood Diner?" Richard looked at her, surprised by the question, but saw in her eyes a genuine desire to understand. "It's a long story, Amelia," he began, narrowing his eyes as if gathering his thoughts. "But if you have some time, I'll be happy to tell you." Amelia nodded, taking a seat beside him. "I have all the time in the world," she said with an encouraging smile. Richard sighed deeply. "I was born in a small town, not much different from this one. My family didn't have much, but we had each other. My father worked in a factory and my mother was a seamstress. I learned early the value of hard work and humility." He paused, looking at the coffee in the cup as if seeing the past reflected in the dark liquid. "When I was young, I had big dreams. I wanted to build something of my own, create something that would make a difference in people's lives. So, with little savings and a lot of determination, I opened my first restaurant." Amelia listened attentively, fascinated by the unfolding story. "It wasn't easy," Richard continued. "I had to face many difficulties and moments of doubt, but I never gave up. I always believed that treating people with respect and kindness was the key to success. As the years passed, my restaurants began to prosper. I opened branches in other cities, carrying forward my vision of a place where people could feel at home, welcomed with kindness and respect. However, the economic crisis hit my sector hard. I lost all the work of a lifetime and found myself with nothing from one day to the next. But I never stopped believing in the values that guided me from the beginning. Amelia listened fascinated, her eyes full of understanding and empathy. That's an incredible story, Richard. Your determination and spirit of resilience are truly admirable. Richard smiled, a smile full of gratitude. Thank you, Amelia. This small gesture of kindness, your coffee, reminded me that there are still people who believe in goodness. And that's why I'm here today. I wanted to see with my own eyes how the staff at Maplewood Diner treats people. And you, Amelia, showed me something extraordinary. Amelia blushed slightly, but didn't look away. Thank you for sharing your story, Richard. It's truly inspiring. And remember, the doors of Maplewood Diner will always be open for you. Richard took a sip of coffee, feeling a warmth that went beyond the liquid itself. Thank you, Amelia. I'll never forget this gesture. Amelia nodded, returning to her work with an even bigger smile. The man finished his coffee and left the establishment, greeting and thanking Amelia. The girl still didn't know that that small act of kindness would change their lives in ways she could never have imagined. A few moments later, Mr. Grayson, who had seen everything, furiously lunged toward Amelia. You can't give away food to people who don't pay. This isn't a soup kitchen. You're stealing from the diner. Amelia tried to explain, her voice calm but firm. It was just a cup of coffee, Mr. Grayson. He seemed to need it. It's not for you to decide, he retorted sharply. You're fired. Silence fell in the establishment. The cooks peeked from the kitchen. Some customers froze mid-bite. Amelia's heart beat hard, but she stood straight. She had always believed in helping others, even if it meant losing a job. Tears threatened to fall, but she held them back, untied her apron and placed it on the counter. I hope someday you'll understand that kindness brings more to this place than a few extra dollars ever could, she said quietly before leaving. Amelia came home earlier than usual that day, her heart heavy and her mind in turmoil. Entering the apartment, her mother greeted her with a worried look. Amelia, you're already back? What happened? Amelia sat beside her mother's bed, trying to find the right words. Mom, I lost my job today. Her mother looked at her with surprise and pain. Why, dear? You've always been so diligent and kind. With a trembling voice, Amelia recounted what had happened. How she had offered a cup of coffee to that man who seemed to need it, and how Mr. Grayson had fired her for this gesture of compassion. Her mother listened attentively, her eyes glistening with understanding and pride. I don't understand, Amelia. Why did he fire you just for a gesture of kindness? I think Mr. Grayson only thinks about profits and not people, Amelia replied, disheartened. But what I did seemed right. That man needed it. Her mother took her hand and squeezed it tight. You did the right thing, Amelia. Kindness is never wasted. I'm proud of you. You'll see that everything will be fine. Amelia felt a small wave of comfort in her mother's words, even though uncertainty about the future continued to weigh on her. And now what will you do? Her mother asked with a sweet voice. I don't know yet, Mom, but I'll look for another job and continue doing my best. Something good will come, I feel it. Her mother smiled, illuminating her tired face. Yes, Amelia, I believe in you. Your kindness will find its way back and reward you. The next day, something incredible happened. A black and shiny car stopped in front of the diner and the unkempt man from the day before got out. But he was no longer wearing shabby clothes. He was elegantly dressed, his hair carefully combed. Mr. Grayson's jaw dropped. That man wasn't a homeless person, but Richard Caldwell, the CEO of a restaurant chain present throughout the country, including the Maplewood Diner. He had gone undercover to see how the staff treated people, not just paying customers, but anyone. Mr. Grayson, pale as a sheet, approached Richard Caldwell. His voice trembled as he tried to justify himself. Mr. Caldwell, I didn't know it was you. I had no idea you were. Richard interrupted him with a cold smile. That I was doing what, Mr. Grayson? checking how you treat people who are in need, rather than those who pay. Grayson swallowed, nervous. I didn't mean to be rude. It's just that. It's just that you fired one of your most compassionate employees for an act of kindness, Richard continued, his voice tone firm. You could have used that moment to teach something valuable to your staff, but you chose to do the opposite. Grayson lowered his gaze, unable to respond. He felt guilty and embarrassed. Richard sighed. Mr. Grayson, kindness is the foundation of our service, and Amelia demonstrated that she understands it much better than anyone else here. Maybe it's time you learn too. Grayson nodded, aware of the mistake made. I will, Mr. Caldwell. I promise I'll change. Richard gave a nod of assent. I hope you do, for everyone's sake. Now tell me, where's Amelia? I want to speak with her immediately. Richard turned to Grayson and said, Come with me. Let's go find Amelia. Grayson nodded, visibly agitated, and followed Richard to Amelia's home. When they found her, Amelia was still shaken from losing her job. Richard knocked on the door and, when she opened it, she was surprised to see the man she had helped the day before, this time however dressed in elegant clothes along with Grayson. Amelia, Richard began with a gentle tone, I'm here to apologize for Mr. Grayson's behavior. It wasn't fair to you and I want to make amends. Grayson stepped forward, with an expression of regret on his face. Amelia, I'm truly sorry for what happened. I was wrong and I want to learn from you how to be more compassionate. Amelia looked at them, still incredulous at what was happening. Richard continued, Amelia, besides apologizing, I want to offer you a promotion. From today, you'll be in charge of training staff on kindness and customer service. Grayson will be demoted and will work under your guidance to learn what you do best. Amelia, overwhelmed with emotion, asked, Really? I don't know what to say. Richard smiled. You don't have to say anything, Amelia. You're the one who taught us a valuable lesson. Now it's time to recognize your worth. Grayson nodded, grateful for the second chance. I'm ready to learn, Amelia. Thank you for showing me what it truly means to be compassionate. Amelia, moved, could only say, Thank you both. Richard gave a nod. Thank you, Amelia. Your kindness made a difference and will continue to inspire all of us. Amelia's mother, seeing what was happening, burst into tears and hugged her daughter. Good girl, you did the right thing. Amelia looked at her mother, moved. Mom, I can't believe it. It's all so incredible. Richard smiled and approached them. Ma'am, Amelia's kindness truly made a difference. We're here to show her how much we appreciate everything she's done. Grayson, still emotional, added, Amelia, you taught me a valuable lesson. I promise to work hard to become a better person. Amelia's mother dried her tears and asked Richard, What will happen now? Richard replied with a reassuring tone, In addition to the promotion, we'll cover your medical expenses, ma'am, and establish a scholarship fund for your son. It's not just recognition for Amelia, but also a way to say thank you for her incredible generosity. Amelia, overwhelmed with emotion, could barely speak. Thank you, Richard. I don't know how to thank you. Richard smiled at her. You don't have to thank us, Amelia. You're the one who reminded us of the importance of kindness and service. We're the ones who should thank you. Amelia's mother hugged her daughter again, saying, I'm so proud of you, Amelia. You've changed our lives. Amelia, with tears in her eyes, replied, Mom, thank you for your teachings. Richard turned to Grayson. Grayson, I'm sure working under Amelia's guidance will be of great benefit to you. And Amelia, I know you'll do an excellent job. The story of Amelia and her kindness spread rapidly, transforming the diner into a symbol of compassion and Amelia's simple action into a source of inspiration for everyone. That single cup of coffee didn't just change her life, but inspired anyone who heard her story. Because sometimes the smallest gestures have the greatest impact, and kindness always finds its way back.